Good afternoon and welcome to Lunch in South Africa. Thanks for joining us here today. We're super excited once again to present South Africa Safari Wine and Cape Town. We have been taking our members to South Africa for the last 6 years with Singles Travel International, and we are using the same company and over again because of the level of service that we receive and the tender loving care of our members when they travel to South Africa. South Africa is a life-changing experience, and we're going to show you firsthand what amazing things you'll be able to see when you get to South Africa. I'm here with Gordon Turner. He's one of the principals at Cape Scout, which is our partner company in South Africa. Hi, Gordon. How are you?
Hey, Tammy, and thanks for having me again.
You're totally welcome. Gordon's going to show us the program, some exciting things about South Africa, some travel tips. Before we get started with that, I wanted to take a minute to read part of a testimonial that we got from one of our travelers named Amanda, who was on the last trip with STI in South Africa. Dear Tammy, I just want to drop a brief note and thank you for an adventure of a lifetime. I grew up in South Africa, so when I saw that you were doing a trip there this year, naturally, I was the first one to sign up. Keep in mind, I have not been back to the land of my childhood in 30 years. Wow, wow, and more wows. First of all, STI did an amazing job with the itinerary. Within 10 days, I had 6 mini vacations. I got to see 6 mini eco environments. The safari was absolutely amazing. The game rangers were beyond knowledgeable, staff amazing, food beyond excellent, and my accommodations were beyond 5-star. I was thrilled to be in the Kalahari again. How awesome was it to take an outdoor shower whilst watching giraffes and elephants pass by? Then, of course, the animals. Just gorgeous, and exactly as I remembered them. I got so many money shots of lions, cheetahs, elephants, rhinos, giraffes, etc. I even caught a storm, a bushfire, and a tripe rainbow. Can you imagine? Thank you so much for letting me relive my childhood. Amanda, thanks for joining us in South Africa and for sharing your thoughts with us. We loved having you. So at this time, I'm going to turn the screen over to Gordon and let him present South Africa's Safari, Wine, and Cape Town, November 22nd to December 2nd of this year.
Thank you, Tammy, and it's great to hear Amanda's little note to us. It was a terrific trip, and I think everyone on that outing had an amazing time. We're going to run the trip on a very similar basis to the trips we've done before. I think there's a few key things we want to get people to experience. One is the safari. I think that's on the top of everyone's list. People who've never done it don't know what to expect. Those that have done it always want to come back. So we try and lead off the schedule with a safari. Cape Town's known for fantastic wine, one of the oldest wine regions in the world, and then obviously the best city in the world, where I'm sitting right now, Cape Town. Unfortunately, the weather right now doesn't look like the one in the picture on your screen, but November is a terrific time to travel, and things should be great. I'm going to start off just by going through the highlights of this trip. The picture there is a little Cape Town beach just around the corner from where I am right now. One of the highlights of the trip is the guide. You're looked after from the minute you land to the minute you leave. The hotels, we have 2 5-star properties and 1 upper 4-star property, all terrifically located. We have 3 nights of safari in the malaria-free area. We're using a different area this year, and we'll talk about it a little later. But Big 5, altogether fantastic safari experience. We fly you down and we do 2 nights in the Cape Winelands, which is about an hour out of Cape Town, and then we finish with the 4 nights in Cape Town. This little map gives you an idea of the geography. Most people coming out of the States will either fly Atlanta or New York directly into Johannesburg, or using some variant of a European or Middle Eastern hub, Emirates, Qatar, Frankfurt, Munich, KLM via Amsterdam, something like that, into Johannesburg. The Marataba Safari Lodge, which we'll use, is a 2-hour drive north of Johannesburg. Pretty easy drive, the roads are good. We return you back to Johannesburg, and then Johannesburg down to the southwest is down to Cape Town. That's a 2-hour commercial flight, and that flight is included in your tour package. So that gives you a good idea. Your malaria area that we talk about is to the east, above Swaziland and Mozambique, and the malaria-free safari regions are from Johannesburg and to the west. So we prefer to use those areas, especially for short safaris.
So, Gordon, does that mean that they will not have to take anti-malarial medication?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone who wants to add on something like Victoria Falls at the end of the trip will have to think about malaria. But on this trip, absolutely no need. No yellow fever, no malaria. Yeah, pretty simple outing.
Fantastic.
As far as that is concerned. Yeah, absolutely great. I think one of the highlights for everyone on these SDR trips, and he's led everyone, is our local adventure man, Chris Tromp. And Chris is a fantastic guy. He's a good personal friend of mine. He knows Tammy well. And I think Tammy's got something to share on Chris that came off that same testimonial from Amanda. And I think you'd like to hear it.
Thank you. Yes, Amanda just gave us such a resounding review from that tour. And she carries on to say, I would be remiss if I did not mention Chris Trump. I have traveled over 64 countries, been on planes, trains, and automobiles. I have done every tour you can imagine. Chris was amazing and the best tour guide I have ever encountered. He was passionate and knowledgeable about South Africa, from history to his knowledge of the land and animals. I was in awe of his expertise. He was patient and helpful and always took care of everyone aboard the trip and tried to fulfill even the smallest of requests. Trust me when I tell you that was not an easy job, even with a small group. His passion and positivity inspired me beyond words. For me, this was not just another visit to another place. I left my soul in South Africa many years ago, and thanks to you and Chris, my soul is truly at peace with South Africa. I am proud of my time spent there and feel so blessed to have the opportunity to return. I can't wait to go back. Thank you for everything. This was more than a trip for me. It was a life-changing experience. Sincerely, Amanda. I also want to add that for me, my visit the first time to South Africa to do a safari was life-changing. So whether you were born there or you've never been there before, get ready for the kind of trip that will truly reach your soul, your heart, your mind, and change your life forever.
Yeah, that's just terrific. Let me just run through. I'm sure you've all been reading the points on the page as we've been chatting. But Chris has been doing this a long time. He takes things very as fun as he is. He takes things incredibly serious. He takes his care of client incredibly seriously. There's nothing he does he's not prepared to do for guys, and I think that's what makes people feel so safe, feel so sort of part of the experience in South Africa. And I know Chris has stayed friends with many of the people who have been on SDR trips in the past. We can chat about the value it adds as we go through the tour. So I'm gonna skip on to the actual trip itself and start to talk about what you can expect when you arrive. And I think, as Tammy said, we've taken quite good care of the folk in the past, and that starts literally the moment you arrive in Johannesburg at the airport. And a lot of people are nervous. They see bad things about Johannesburg on the news. Of course, it's like every big city in the world. The bad news makes the international headlines, but we make a point of allowing people to feel safe by meeting you at the door of your aircraft. So when that door opens, you walk out, there's a person standing there with your name board who will hold your hand and take you through the VIP channel of immigration, like the rock stars, and get you straight across to the hotel. And I think that just takes a burden off. You know, you're landing in a strange country. Although everyone speaks English, you're going to feel unsure of yourself. We take that worry straight away. It just disappears. So the hotel we like to use is literally 5 minutes away from the airport. It's a big casino complex. They have international boxing there. There's movies, there's restaurants, there's all kinds of things. It's not Las Vegas, but there's a very nice five-star hotel. We're going to do cocktail drinks for the arrivals, depending when people are in and how we get that information together. But there'll be a little welcome gathering on the first night. Let everyone collect themselves from their long travels. And in the next morning, we take the drive up. We'll leave just after breakfast, and we'll get to the Safari Lodge around lunchtime, and there'll be lunch waiting for you. Now, Murray Taba is in this most dramatic place called the Waterberg, and it really is special. It's been around as a sort of farming wildlife area for a very long time, but in the last 20 years, they've really redeveloped it back into the natural habitat, reintroduced a lot of animals that had been moved off for commercial farming, and now they're reaping the rewards from the safari point of view. It's a massive area, 50,000 acres. You could never cover it in the time that you have. The landscapes, as you can see from that picture, is huge sandstone rock, beautiful rivers, thick forest, open plains. It really does have everything. It's a photographer's dream, and people that have been everywhere in Africa really love the Marakele Game Reserve because it is so unique. And again, the big thing, being malaria free, a lot of the issues that you have to think about in other places, you just don't need to worry about at this point. The lodge is a series of 15 tented suites. It has a sort of communal area where you'll eat lunch and dinner. It has a boma, what we call a boma, so sort of a fireside experience. Outside where you eat dinner under the stars, which is fantastic. There's local drumming, there's local dancing, and choirs. The staff come in and make you feel really part of the African experience. And I think that adds a lot of excitement for people. The things you could have kind of imagined it could be like. It's the sounds and the smells and everything. It's all there. It's absolutely terrific. They do have the modern touches. There is Wi-Fi in the public areas. There are not televisions in the rooms. You're on safari. You're relaxing. Listen to the birds. Listen to the lions. You don't need to be distracted by anything. And that gives you an idea of what dinner can be like under the stars in Murray Taba. Just absolutely terrific. The other thing that's included in the tour, apart from the 3 meals a day, is also your local drinks. So beers, local wines, local spirits. But if you're into the French champagnes and into the sort of fancier drinks, they will bill you. The mini bar in your room is also not complimentary. So if you want to drink, you've got to head to the main bar and you can help yourself. Not the worst way to spend 3 days, I must be honest. So after the safari is done, we drive you back down to Johannesburg, 2.5 hours, and there's a 2-hour commercial flight to Cape Town. Cape Town Airport is about 25 minutes from the wine country, and we head over to the Lanzerac Hotel in the little town of Stellenbosch. Used to be little, it's not as little as it used to be. The university town, home of some of the oldest wine-growing estates in the world after France. It's called New World Wine, but for some reason it's 350 years old. And the Lanzerac estate is one of the original old homesteads. The picture you see there of that building, the white building, is the main old Stellenbosch wine estate. So there's massive amounts of history. There's terrific antique furniture. There's art galleries. There's all kinds of things to think about and experience in Stellenbosch. The idea that we have with Stellenbosch is that it gives a great base to explore multiple little areas, and around that Cape Winelands you've got places like the Cheetah Sanctuary, which is 30 minutes in one direction. Over the next little mountain pass you into the terrific part of Cape Town, of the Cape, called Franschhoek, or French Corner, which is settled by the French Huguenots 300 years ago, who developed their own little world and brought the wine experience into the Cape. We've got restaurants, 6 of which are in the top 10 in the country, and we've probably got 15 of the top 20 overall in the country within 45 minutes of your hotel. So whether we do lunches or dinners or whatever we do, you can be sure that you're going to get a totally amazing culinary experience. What we've done as well on the tour is we try to include as many dinners and lunches as we can. We've given you guys some time off to do your own thing, but some of the key experiences are going to be together as a group and at some really nice restaurants. So we get you in that evening. The idea really is to have a nice group dinner at the Lanzerac, which has got a terrific restaurant. And then the next morning we do a full day wine tour. And what that means is Chris will have pre-booked some private cellar tours. Get you out, get you walking through the vineyards, get you to talk to the winemakers, experience the vintages, and then head across into the small towns and maybe walk, see some of the cafes, some of the art galleries, some of the arts and crafts, jewelry makers. All these sorts of things are all available in this little 1.5 days of Cape wine experience. If anyone has any particular interests, we're more than happy to chat about them. If you've got a particular wine that you want to see or want to taste, we can absolutely make that work for you. So that's a little taste of the Cape wine area itself. But the interesting thing about Cape Town in the next 4 days is that you're never more than half an hour from a wine farm, wherever you are. So if you feel the urge to top up, we can always make that happen. One of the neatest trips that we do is to the Cheetah Outreach program. We've done it on all the STR trips. There's a fantastic lady who started a rehabilitation center for cheetah, mainly under pressure in Namibia, and she raises these cheetahs for reintroduction into the wild. But it's a great opportunity to meet the cheetahs, learn about the experience, get into a sort of petting situation, and it's very unlike the lion petting experience that people are talking about at the moment, which I absolutely detest and we never do, where they're breeding lions specifically for the petting industry. This is a very different experience. This is very much a nature, very conscious effort to save the cheetah in their wild, in their natural habitats. So it's a great day, or a great couple of hours to spend, and everyone who's been there has absolutely loved it.
I heard that was one of the highlights for all of our members so far. They really loved it.
Yeah, and it's, I take my kids there every year. Myself, it just never gets boring. It's just terrific to see the effort they put in and the work they do. Really, really worth doing. Um, Now, I think again, everything seems like a highlight. It depends what it depends what you like in life, but I think Cape Town is without question, Tammy, just off the charts. I'm so lucky to live here. I've lived here 20 years. It is the most beautiful, the most sort of jaw-dropping place you could ever want to go. We've got you guys in the heart of the waterfront. It's an incredibly safe area. There's 300 shops, 400 shops. There's restaurants. There's bars. You're 10 minutes to the middle of town. You're 20 minutes to the top of the mountain. You can see there's beaches around the corner. There's the wine country 30 minutes away. It really is a fantastic spot to spend 4 days. And I can't think of another city. I've traveled a lot around the world. I can't think of anything that comes close to Cape Town as an experience. I don't know if you have. And I know you've just done Spain and a few other places, but Cape Town's a pretty special place. The outings that we do in Cape Town are really focused around a couple of key areas, and the first one is the waterfront in the city. We take you up to the top of the mountain, up to the top right corner that you can see there, up the cable car, which gives you a terrific overview of the city itself. We take you down into the culturally interesting parts of town, some of the old Cape Malay slave areas, the old Dutch East India Company forts, all that old architecture, some of the African markets that are there now. We have a large population of Congolese, Angolan, Mozambican craftsmen, guys doing stonework, woodwork, fabrics, jewelry. It's really a terrific experience. So we've got a day set aside to just explore that part of Cape Town. We've got the fantastic Gold Restaurant, which is just the most terrific African-themed environment where you've got drums and music and terrific food, lots of dancing, lots of singing. That experience in itself is just an amazing way to spend an evening. So that we try and give you the city life, the people, the culture. I think as a day, it's a terrific outing. There's the cableways, very modern cable cars. Everyone feels safe. Some hang on to the middle, others hang out the windows. Depends what you like. And in the distance on this photograph, you can see Robben Island off the city, and that's where Nelson Mandela was kept in prison for most of his 27 years. And at the end of our schedule, we have a free day where we found in the past a lot of people have their own personal interests. And one of the things people want to do is do Robben Island. Not everyone wants to go, so we leave that as a sort of personal decision at the end. And that's a day, that's something to consider at the end of the trip if you want to do that. The second day of the trip is an outing down to the southern tip of the peninsula of Cape Town. And this takes you through, again, more vineyards along the terrific, just some of the most jaw-dropping scenery. If you can imagine the Monterey sort of drive in California, just on a grander scale. The roads are higher, the cliffs are bigger, it's more dramatic. Little fishing villages and arty, crafty places all the way along as you go down to Cape Point. People consider this the place where the two oceans meet. It's not really, sort of the Atlantic Ocean on one side and the Indian on the other. That point's about 200 miles away, but for the tourists, it suits its purpose as being the place where the two oceans meet. Just off the right of the picture that you're looking at the moment, off that point, is a little island called Seal Island. And for those of you who watch National Geographic and Discovery Channel, that's where you will see air jaws, the flying great whites. And that's also something to consider on the last day of the trip. November is not the best time in False Bay for great whites. We tend to use another part of the Cape to go and see the animals. But if you've ever seen air jaws on Discovery, that's where it is, right there. Again, another highlight of the trip is just around the corner from Cape Point on the same day is a little population of African penguins at Boulders Beach. And this is just great. These little guys, they used to be called jackass penguins because of the noise they make. They literally sound like like a donkey, a jackass going crazy. Tiny little guys, they're little colony, and they're now called the African penguin. That's a fantastic addition to the day. We take a nice lunch at a little place called Harbour House, which is 20 minutes from the penguins. Top class seafood, crayfish, prawns, catch of the day stuff, 5-star wine list. Just a terrific addition to end a long morning of touring. And that lunch we found tends to take a little while. It doesn't. It's not a hit and run by any means. So we tend to get quite busy in there, and then we head back into the city. Often stopping at the most magnificent gardens in the country, and that's the Kirstenbosch National Gardens. I took this photo a little while ago, one morning in winter, and that's a new bridge actually. And sleep off your lunch. We don't mind. It's both have happened in the past. So we've got this. We've got 4 nights and 3 full days in Cape Town, and it depends where your flight is at the end. Uh, we had a great reception 2 years ago to the shark diving um, experience out at Gansbaai. This is a long day. It requires you leave 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's an hour 45 minutes to get out here. But it does have the best white shark cage diving in the world. And as you can see, they'll often have 2, 3, 4 great whites around the boat at any given time. We've left this as an optional extra. I think Tammy was looking to add some value to the experience, and I haven't told her yet, but I think we're going to throw in a complimentary shark dive for anyone who books within a time that Tammy wants to discuss. I think this is a great experience. I think it'll get people on the plane, and it's a great last day in Africa to spend. I don't know what you think about that, Tammy. Sorry, I sort of dropped that on you a little bit.
Gordon, hey, who doesn't love a free shark dive? I'm going to sign up after the webinar.
So I think that'll be a nice way to end it. And again, if you want to extend, if you want to go to Victoria Falls, if you want to do any of those things, we've done it. We can do it. We're happy to talk to you. We're happy to make it work for you. And I'd encourage you to get calling and chat to Tammy, chat to myself, and we'll be happy to help. I'm not sure what else you want to throw in, Tammy. We take the guys at the end to the airport, and we make sure they get safely on the plane. So at every single point, they're looked after. There's really very, very little they have to worry about themselves.
Right. This is a comprehensive vacation, and all of the details are on our website under the title of the same name, South African Safari Wine Country in Cape Town. I mean, how can you just pass this up? The Big Five, up close with the cheetahs. South Africa is now a world-class wine destination. The first time I went, some of the wines were just not mature enough. We drank it anyway, but now they can consider themselves world-class, and you'll spend 2 days in such beautiful surroundings. I believe Chris's family, Gordon, if this is correct, someone's in the wine business, aren't they?
Oh, Chris has got a family member in every corner. I
Good.
think that adds, but yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Chris has worked in the wine industry. He knows it. I know he's stocked some of the farm dams with bass, and we've been catching them for years. So yeah, we can even do a fishing day. We've done that before, so
So,
that could be
so
fun.
if you're a wine aficionado, if you love animals, if you have a sense of adventure, a dare me sense of adventure like I do, let's dive with sharks. Getting up close with the little baby cheetahs, I think, is something that nobody could resist, whatever the age. And thank you for offering that promotion. We love it. And how long do you think we should give them, Gordon? Not too long. I like to get this trip filled as soon as possible. So I would say we already have several members booked as we speak. And given that today is the 29th of July. I'd say maybe by August 7th. If you book by August 7th, you'll get the free challenge, diving with the sharks in Gans Bay. Thanks, Gordon.
And